Somewhere on the ocean floor right now, a lobster is doing something that should be impossible. It is growing. It is getting stronger. And in some ways, scientists believe it is not aging at all. While you and I are slowly running down like a battery, this armored creature is out there molting its shell, building a bigger one, and carrying on as if time forgot to send it the memo. So here is the question that has kept biologists up at night. What if aging is not a rule of life, but just a habit some animals never picked up? Let's start with the lobster, because it is the rock star of this story. Most animals, including us, follow a familiar arc. We grow, we peak, we slow down, and our cells get tired. That tiredness has a name: senescence. It is what happens when cells stop dividing properly and start sending out chemicals that damage the tissue around them. Think of a tired worker who not only stops doing their job but also starts knocking over everyone else's desks. Over time, enough of those cells and you get the signs of aging we all recognize. But lobsters seem to laugh at senescence. The key is an enzyme called telomerase. Here is a quick piece of biology that is genuinely mind-blowing. Every time a cell divides, the tips of your DNA, called telomeres, get a tiny bit shorter. Telomeres are like the plastic caps on shoelaces. They protect the important stuff. And every time a cell copies itself, those caps get clipped a little. Eventually the caps are gone. The DNA frays, the cell stops working right, and that is a big part of how aging happens at the cellular level. Humans make telomerase, the enzyme that rebuilds those caps, but only in certain cells and only for a limited time. Lobsters, according to research published in the Journal of Experimental Biology, produce telomerase actively throughout their bodies, essentially rebuilding those caps over and over. An older lobster is not weaker. It is actually more fertile and more robust than a younger one. Scientists call this negligible senescence, which basically means the animal shows no meaningful biological sign of aging over time. Now, does a lobster live forever? No. They still get diseases, they still get eaten, and molting a huge shell gets so physically demanding as they grow that many eventually die from the effort. But they are not aging in the way we understand aging. That is a completely different thing, and it matters enormously. Now meet an even wilder contestant, the Hydra. This tiny freshwater animal looks like a microscopic tube with tentacles waving from one end, and it might be the closest thing to biologically immortal that science has confirmed. Thomas Bosch and his colleagues at the University of Kiel studied thousands of hydras over several years and published their findings in the Proceedings of the National Academy of Sciences. What they found stunned the field. Hydras showed no increase in death rate as they got older. 0. Their risk of dying tomorrow is the same whether they are 1 year old or 20. In lab conditions, a hydra can live for centuries without showing any decline. The reason comes down to stem cells. Hydras are made almost entirely of stem cells, the blank slate cells that can become anything. They are constantly replacing themselves, turning over their entire body every 20 days or so. A hydra is basically always brand new. It is like if every part of your body got swapped out for a fresh copy every 3 weeks. The genes that keep this system running include a gene called FoxO, which biologists also find in humans. And here is where your jaw should drop a little. Studies have shown that long-lived humans, centenarians, people who make it past 100, carry particularly active versions of FoxO. The Hydra and the 100-year-old humans share a molecular clue. There is another creature worth mentioning, and its nickname alone earns it a place in this conversation. The immortal jellyfish, Teratopsis dornii, can do something no other animal on Earth can do the same way. When it is stressed or injured or old, it reverts its own cells back to an earlier stage and starts its life cycle over. It goes from adult back to infant, essentially hitting a biological reset button. Research on this process has been led by scientists including Stefano Piraino at the University of Salento, and while keeping them alive in a lab is notoriously difficult, the biological mechanism is real and documented. So what does all of this mean for us? It means aging is not some iron law baked into every living thing on Earth. It is a set of biological processes, and some animals have evolved ways to slow those processes down dramatically or work around them entirely. That tells us those processes can, in principle, be understood and maybe someday influenced. Researchers studying telomerase, FoxO pathways, and stem cell renewal are not chasing fantasy. They are reading lessons that evolution already wrote in the bodies of lobsters and hydras and tiny jellyfish drifting through the ocean. The science of aging, called geroscience, is one of the fastest growing fields in biology today, and a lot of its inspiration comes directly from animals like these. You do not have to be a scientist to take something from this. The natural world is full of solutions to problems we thought were unsolvable. A creature the size of your fingernail has been quietly holding the answer to one of humanity's oldest questions, floating in a pond somewhere, replacing itself cell by cell, completely unbothered. Nature got there first. We are just finally catching up.